Oh, you know what? I apologize. Y'all sitting here listening to seconds of nothing of silence. But good afternoon, everybody. It's good to be on the podcast. Um, for those of you who are consistent listeners, normally we're not here on a Sunday, but just for scheduling purposes, we actually moved the podcast onto a Sunday. So hopefully you'll be able to still listen in. Glad to be here on the podcast. It is your boy Clarence Taylor, as most people know me as Trey. Um, we'll have Colin on a little bit later. He actually, if you don't know, he goes up to Syracuse University. He's getting his master's degree up there. He's actually home this weekend. He's out with his family right now, but he'll be on shortly. Hopefully, we'll have Matt and Amina on very shortly. But for right now, I'm rocking out by myself. Um, and we will go ahead and move into our first topic, which is our first question, which is about Steph Curry. For those of you who don't know, Steph Curry actually recently started a basketball program for women and young ladies. I think that this is great. One of the reasons why I think that this is great is that, and we've talked about it on the podcast before, is that women's basketball in general, whether you're talking about middle school, high school, college, or professional, is is looked down upon, um, and in many circles, is just in general, women's sports is looked at. It's looked down upon by many, and it's viewed as like it's not a sport because it's it's women, which I think is a very demeaning and disrespectful way to look at women's sports because in many ways, and I've mentioned it on the podcast before, and I'm speaking of professional women's basketball and college basketball is actually just as exciting or more exciting than watching, a college basketball game or a WNBA basketball game because for whatever reason, and in particular college and professional women's basketball, they've continued to hold on to and value just traditional basketball, like making the right pass. Um, you know, it's fun. It's still fun to watch, and there's a lot of really great basketball players out there, um, playing in college and professional. But I like that not only did he start this program for young women, but also for young girls, because there are a lot of people who are girls who are athletic, like to play basketball, um, but don't necessarily have the opportunity. And a lot of times, programs like this focus on young boys and young men. And I think it's great that Steph Curry is taking the step to do something that's geared towards women and young girls. Um, and I want to, and I think it's good not only because it's not good just because Steph Curry is doing it. It's good because he did it, right? It's when you think about um, professional athletes, they are in a position of they are role models for a lot of people my age. They're role models for young kids, and when they do things like what Steph Curry has done with his basketball program and what LeBron James did in starting this I Promise school back in Akron, Ohio, what it does is it they've stepped up to the plate and they've taken on the role of being a role model. But what they've also done is they've set a standard for other athletes. They said that says, okay, I might be rich, I might be a professional basketball player, and that might be my job. But my second job, which is just as important as my first job, is to be a role model to kids who look up to to these people and to um, to do work in the community and not just shut up and dribble. So I really applaud Steph Curry for starting this basketball program. And to be honest, I don't have all the details about it, but it's an amazing thing to see your role models that, doing good things in their communities by, doing basketball programs, creating camps, doing fundraisers and giving to charities and building schools, and putting kids through college. It's really an amazing thing to see because they understand their position as not only a professional basketball player, a professional athlete, just in general, but they also understand their role in the community. All right. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next topic, which is still in basketball, but it's a lot funner of a topic to talk about, which is Anthony Davis. If you don't know, Anthony Davis is a power forward / center. He currently playing for the New Orleans, and yes, New Orleans, not New Orleans, New Orleans Pelicans. And one of the issues that the Pelicans have had over the years is that they seem to not be able to keep talent around Anthony Davis or build a talented team around him in order for them to make the playoffs and do anything in the playoffs. But one of the biggest rumors that have been going around Anthony Davis are some trade talks. And some of the teams that are interested are the Lakers, the Celtics, Raptors, and of course my Philadelphia 76ers. In my opinion, I don't see him being traded this season. Could he be traded down the line, maybe towards the All-Star break, before the All-Star break, before the trade deadline hits, or maybe even next season? It's possible. But I think the only way that happens is if Anthony Davis looks at the players that are around him, and he looks at his coach and says, I'm not going to win here. If Anthony Davis believes in New Orleans and believes that he can win in New Orleans, no trade will go down, because it's similar to it's similar to the Kawhi Leonard thing. Kawhi Leonard wanted out of San Antonio, and so as a result, San Antonio was put in a position where they needed to trade him, whether it was right away during this offseason or whether they waited till the trade deadline. They needed to trade him because from a front office perspective, if they didn't trade him next season, he would become a free agent and leave, and they would get nothing for him. So with Anthony Davis, I don't know how many years is left on his contract. If he were to be traded, if the organization decided that, okay, we need to trade him or he wants to leave, what they've got to think about is, okay, when is his contract up and what's our deadline for trading him? Personally, I don't think he will be traded. I think these are simply rumors, and there's always rumors like this about, top players getting traded or, planning on leaving to go somewhere. I mean, there were rumors about LeBron James playing in LA, 4 years ago. And obviously those rumors ended up being true, but for right now, they're purely rumors. And I don't see Anthony Davis being traded anytime soon. Could it happen in the future? Yes. Will it happen now? I don't think so. I believe they're only rumors, and that for the foreseeable future, Anthony Davis will be a New Orleans Pelican. And I see we have my good friend Amina has joined us. So I'm going to let her actually go back to our first topic, because that is her.
Can you hear me?
That's her team, the Golden State Warriors, and I'm gonna let her speak on Steph Curry starting this basketball program for young women and young girls. speak our thoughts on that.
Can you hear me? Trey? Trey? The heck?
Well, I'm not sure what's going on with Mina. Oh, looks like she just popped back in. Um, looks like she's having a little bit of technical difficulties. Are you ready, Amina?
Trey, can you hear me?
Because I cannot hear you, Amina. I'm not sure, so I'm not sure if those listening will be able to hear you. Let me see. Yeah, I'm not able to hear you, Amina. Um,
Can you hear me?
let's see. Let me see. Trying to change some of these settings. Um, so for now, since we cannot hear Mina, I'm gonna continue on, and Amina, you go ahead and keep your mic unmuted, and that way, when it starts working, I'll be able to hear you. Um, so as I was saying about Anthony Davis, I don't think he's going to be traded, and I don't see any reason why, and at why he'd be traded immediately. I can see it happening down the line, but as of now, he's staying in New Orleans. Looks like we also got my man Kylan in here, and Kylan, as I mentioned, is
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes, Amina.
Oh,
Um,
good.
yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead, Amina.
I don't know what
Go ahead
happened.
on
It's
stuff.
fine. Hi everyone. This is Amina joining everyone on this Sunday afternoon, rainy Philadelphia. We got some good questions to discuss today, and I'm going to get right to it. The first question is the Steph Curry question in reference to him starting a basketball program for women and girls. It's in its beginning stages of it. I actually saw it for the first time of like maybe 3 days before I actually made the question for the list. And I was very happy and proud because of who he is. He's on my team, my point guard. And because I think he's also looking at future potential for his two daughters, especially his oldest one, who I believe has WNBA talent, and she's only 6 years old. I believe that he's looking into avenues to bridge the gap between the WNBA and the NBA because we all know that it's unbalanced right now on many fronts. So that's a good thing. And because this basketball program he has, it's like a mini league for the women and more so like a camp for the girls, but it's all in one scenario. So it's like a mentorship as well because you got the older women, older girls that can, teach and train the young girls how to play basketball for women. And it's a great thing. We don't see too many NBA stars, any at all, no matter who they are, investing in things for women and girls. It's kind of, I don't want to say it, but at times I think it's a bit sexist how they don't, and they only invest in camps for the boys and how they don't do anything for girls. So Steph Curry is breaking those barriers, and he's showing people that girls are not just about tea parties and dress up. They can play basketball, they can do this, they can do that, and this is not the era where just girls are just raised to bake chocolate chip cookies and sit on the couch and watch TV all day. This is not those days anymore. And the girls in the groups, he's showing the girls that's in the program. I saw one video and he's showing them actually how to play basketball like he does as far as shooting abilities and ball handling. And they're great. Like they all can dribble well, dunk well, and it's like, wow, these might be the future women of the WNBA. And the women, they're young women, so they may possibly be WNBA draft pick choices. Who knows? So I gotta give it to them for looking out for females when many NBA stars abandon anything that has to do with women. Thanks for taking the initiative. As a father, that you have two daughters, you have a wife, you have a mother, you have a sister, you have sister-in-laws, you have a mother-in-law. So he's surrounded by women in his personal life on a daily, regular basis. So it's an inspiration around him to do things for women with his money and invest his time with it. He was taking pictures with his MVP trophies he has with the girls. So they got to touch those and it it light up their world and their smiles. They all got his jerseys on. So it's like he's solidified his position in NBA history already. And he's just going to continue doing it. I look for nothing but the best to come from him as the years go on. And the other question for Anthony Davis being possibly traded, his current contract is with, I believe, is still the contract he got when he was drafted to the team in 2012. And that contract won't be up until, I believe, 2021 or 22. I think it's the former of the two I said, but it's coming up, like not next season or the season after, but maybe in 3 or 4 seasons, his contract will be up. So he'll be eligible for either a re-sign or a trade buyout from another team. But between now and then, a regular standard trade buyout could happen, and he could be traded to another team. And the four teams that are rumored are the Lakers, Celtics, Raptors, and Sixers. Realistically, I think the best choice, like hypothetically, if he was to go to another team, realistically, I think the best option for him would be to go to the Sixers. I feel as though he has the personality for the team. He would do very well living in the city of Philadelphia. He has a lot to offer to the city of Philadelphia as far as his playing ability, his style, his persona, and he will be able to further develop the young core that's in Philadelphia that's growing, as far as Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, and the others. So that would be good if he did, but it's just rumors at this time. But if not, I don't see him outside of that really leaving the Pelicans right now because they just lost two of their big men. They lost Rondo to the Lakers and they lost Boogie Cousins to the Warriors. So for him to leave, that would be a dramatic death sentence for the Pelicans right now. He's the face of the team, and I don't see them letting him go like that. As far as a trade, that would be major breaking news concerning him in the NBA. I believe that they're trying to hold him there, like to build something else around him, being as though two of the big men that were on the team are no longer on the team. And they now have Jahlil Okafor, who's a former Sixers and Nets player. He's there with Anthony Davis now, and now they have still the other bench and starter players. So I think what needs to happen is that they need to continue developing their core. I mean, Anthony Davis has playoff experience. He's been to two playoffs in his career, and he's only been in the NBA since 2012. So he has first round and second round experience. So I believe if they truly can get the necessary pieces to fix the puzzle that they're trying to develop, that would be great as far as investing really, really well when it comes to drafts for 2019 and 2020. Please invest well, get great draft picks because you're going to need them to continue building this team and to go above and beyond because Anthony Davis, he deserves a ring. And I would not want him to have to leave the Pelicans and get a ring, like and get a ring on another team. I want the Pelicans are his team. When you think of the New Orleans Pelicans, you think of him. That's his team, and I would want him to get a ring on his team, and he deserves nothing but that. So I don't see him right now getting traded like the rumors are saying, but possibly if they are, like I said, Sixers are the number one go-to for him that I see that work best. And that was my response to the first two questions. I guess Trey can continue with the third.
Well, so y'all can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yep, we can hear you.
So, to the questions. First off, it's great to be back on this podcast. It's been so long. School is over. Summer session is over, so I can actually be up on here more consistently now. At least until next week when the semester starts. Yeah, it was to y'all question. It's good to see Steph Curry back with this camp and opening it up to women's players. I think they said like the number one recruit decided to come on in, like the number one player in women's basketball in the class of 2019 was in there showing up the guys, showing that she has as much, if not more, talent than them. And I think it's a great thing for Steph Curry to show talent, hit the talent, and give people opportunity. For anything else, for like Amina said, it's just about opportunity, and if you can put the WNBA or just women's basketball in general on a higher plane, why not do it? So I am very proud of Steph Curry, very happy that he's doing that. I believe he's the first player to do that for one of his camps. So I'm happy. I'm happy that that's what's going on for that. We're right along to Anthony Davis. He's a great player. Like Amina said, deserves a ring. So happy she finally took her Warriors blinders off because, as Trey and I both know, she has been an avid advocate for the Warriors to have a big five, or at this point, I guess it would be a big six if they added Anthony Davis.
I no longer want him.
I'm happy that I'm happy that they added that. I'm really satisfied with that. Now, if Anthony Davis comes to the Sixers, I will be very, very happy. And I just think that it's time, man. He's 2 playoffs. He's been there at least 4 years. It's time for him to come on out. Come on out of the Western Conference. Come on over to the East. Come join the Sixers. Come trust the process. Don't even worry about the Warriors and Celtics. Just come on over here. Get some rings. Help us get like 4 or 5 rings. Surpass the Warriors and the Bulls. And just keep it moving because young talent deserves to be fostered with other young talent. And so if you put him with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, that's a recipe for disaster for the rest of the East. So I'm definitely down with that. So I'll pass it back to Trey for the next question. Go ahead, Trey.
Yes, sir. So, as I mentioned, as Kylan mentioned, he's back for a couple of days before he has to go back to school. But yeah, I wanted to say something about Anthony Davis before we move on to the next question. The team where I think if he were to get traded, I be honest with you, I don't see him on the Sixers. I would see him as a better fit for the Lakers. But I won't say any more on that. So on to the next question. And this is about one of Colin and I's favorite teams, the Miami Heat. And and probably the greatest player who's ever played for that organization, and that would be Dwayne Wade. And if you know, he's been in the league for now 15 years. And at this point, he has not made any announcements as to whether he will retire or continue to play I think, 16th year now. So the question around that is, will he retire or will he continue to play? And I'll actually start. In my opinion, I think D Wade has got something left in the tank. D Wade, over the years, has had a lot of knee issues. Going back to his college days when he was at Marquette, he had gotten I believe it was his meniscus. He tore his meniscus, and he actually got both removed out of both knees. And so over the years, when he was younger, his athleticism allowed him to compensate for, how bad his knees were. But as he's gotten older, within the last 5-6 years, we've seen his athleticism dip tremendously. And but I think he's got something left in the tank, and I would definitely see him playing, on a championship team, playing, 15, 20 minutes a night, because he's older and he's got bad knees, but he's still Dwayne Wade. Now, will he this season play? I think he will, because I think he wants to play, but ultimately that's up to him to decide, and we'll see what happens. Up till now, he hasn't made a commitment, and I'm not sure when, what the rule is for when you have to when you have to actually declare for retirement, but we'll see what happens. And I think that if he doesn't decide to retire if he doesn't decide to hang it up and not play this coming season, I think that he'll play one more good year, unless, of course, he wins another ring. But I think if he were to sign with a team and not win after this coming season, I think he'll hang up and go out on a good note. We'll move on to Amina, and the question is, will Wade retire? Will he make a commitment and retire sometime during this offseason, or do you think it'll be sometime in the near future?
Concerning D Wade, in my opinion, one of the top 10 shooting guards of my generation in the NBA that I grew up watching. He came to the NBA when I was just about starting my middle school years. So all throughout my middle school and high school years, the Miami Heat was all hyped up, D Wade, Shaq, all that. So I've seen the ups and downs of this man's career, his personal life, his career, things he does in the community, then his marriage to Gabrielle Union he has now. So I've seen the development of him over the years. He'll be 37 in January coming. So he's hitting 40 years old soon. And we all know that most NBA players do not play beyond 40. 40 is usually like a cutoff age, but not an official cutoff age, but most don't play beyond that. So I think he is in retirement mode, and he's just setting himself up to do things outside of basketball to prepare himself for life post NBA. He's he has I think he does sneakers. He has connections to the Chinese Basketball Association. Um, and he does things in the community. I think one of his sons that I see playing ball in the school he goes to has NBA potential, possibly. So we may even see a son of D Wade in the future for the NBA. So that would continue the Wade family legacy. So it's a lot. Like He has 3 rings. He's a Finals MVP and a 12-time All-Star. So I I don't see him retiring right now, but he is a free agent, and we're going into September, which means that it's about to be preseason, and he hasn't made a commitment to a team or a contract or anything else yet. So I don't know. He has to say something because you can't be a free agent forever. So, and him and his wife, Gabrielle Union, they've shut down retirement rumors for him on, I think it was Twitter or Instagram. And that's what I think will go on for him. I don't think I think he still has firepower in him, like Trey said. He's not the D Wade that he was in 2000. Was 2003 when he was drafted? Of course not. He's older now, but I still think he has potential in him, especially for maybe one more playoff run. I don't see him ever. I don't see him getting a fourth ring, but I do see him maybe getting to a playoff round. So that's what I think for D Wade. Great player, one of the best shooting guards of the modern age, and he'll always be remembered. And when he does retire, it's going to be a big party in Miami, Florida. They're going to put his jersey up in the rafters, their number 3 jersey, and he's going to be a Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame inductee. And I can't wait to hear his speech for when he does that, when that time comes. So that's for D Wade. Kylan?
Yes, yes, yes. So Dwayne Wade, one of my favorite players ever. Been watching him. Uh, I've been watching him forever. Really enjoy him from his days in Marquette, and I really hope that he decides to come back because I think he has a couple years left. I'm like Trey. I think that he has a couple years left. I think that he's got a lot more to give now in a mentor role and as the sixth man on the team. And I think he recognizes that. Uh, and I think that it would to for him to still be around and do that and do it in that way, mentor the young cats, mentor Deion Waiters, and all the other players on that team. So I think that it would behoove Dwayne Wade to not hang it up yet. Maybe give it another year and a half, another 2 years, retire at 39, because I think he has a lot more to give. And yeah, that's what I think. I think that Dwayne Wade is a great player. Like I said, top 5, top 8 shooting guard that I've ever seen. And the stats say that. He deserves way more credit than he gets. He was a really, really good scorer. And I just cannot wait to the party that's going to be. But I'm not ready to see basketball without Dwayne Wade yet. After seeing it for 15 years straight with him, I'm not ready to see him hang it up just yet. Right? That's the end of my thoughts.
The next question is the Omarosa Manigault versus Donald Trump situation that's going on concerning the White House and all that. Kylan, your thoughts on that?
Yeah. All right. So my thoughts on this is Omarosa came with receipts. She definitely. I was joking about this in our Sunday school class. I mean, she was definitely sneak recording, or maybe not so sneakily recording, the Trumps and everything that went on in that White House. And I am very, very excited about what other tapes she has, because so far she's gotten Lara Trump, uh, I believe that is
Eric's wife.
DJ Junior's wife. So,
That's Eric's wife.
oh, Eric's wife. Okay. So she's got Eric's wife. Not a lot of people know who Lara Trump is because not many of us know that Eric Trump has a wife. So that's Eric's wife. Got her talking about getting her money with and it turns out it wasn't even their money. It was campaign money, which is illegal. You can't take campaign money for something else and then try and pay somebody with it. So there's another crime to add to the Trump family. There's so much that Omarosa will probably get them on. It's unbelievable. And I know most people are waiting for that tape where he says the N-word from The Apprentice. But at this point, I don't think we really need to confirm, and I won't say that Donald Trump is racist. I just think that he has a very troubled history with race. His history says it all. I mean, this is a man that had to settle with the government. The government had him marking C for black people that rented from his apartments and doing different things with black people. His father had a troubled history with race. I mean, it's really not hard to see that this man, if you don't think he's racist, that at least he's got a troubled history with race. I think most people, even his ardent supporters, will admit that. At this point, it's just more wood to the fire. I mean, and to not go too big on the conspiracy theory angle, I just think that it is what it is. If you like Donald Trump, you like Donald Trump. If you don't, this is just more wood to the fire. I mean, most people will say, well, he's not wrong. His supporters will say, and the rest of us will say, well, it just confirms what I already knew. So, I don't think I admire Omarosa for having receipts. And, but my question to her would be, why would you put yourself in this situation? I know you like Donald Trump. You've known him for at least 15 years. But come on, man. Just because you worked with somebody for 15 years and you developed an on-air and off-air relationship doesn't mean Google doesn't exist. Doesn't mean that you don't know that, maybe this is not a person I want to be working for. This is a man that's gone bankrupt 5 times. This is a man that has some trouble history with being able to succeed in business. Maybe I don't want to go into his White House. Just saying. And she readily admitted that she had a blind spot when it came to Donald Trump. But nobody's blind spot is that deep where you will work for somebody and be all like, oh, you know what? Screw the past wrongs. It's all good. I'll work for you. Nah, ain't nobody's blind spot that deep. But Omarosa, good job being able to outsmart 45, which is something most people can't say in 2018. So good job in being able to outsmart 45. Amina?
Gotta agree with what Kylan said. Omarosa is a black woman like me, and if anyone has had any interactions with a black woman that has been screwed over by yourself, as black women, we come with receipts. We come with the screenshots, the audio, the video, the visual. We come with the text messages, the emails, the phone records, incoming and outgoing calls. We come with it all to the table. We come ready and prepared, ready to go. Omarosa just proved that fact that I just said. I be the same way. I keep screenshots from people that I'm not too cool with, and I only release them things when I have to. So shout out to Omarosa. Like, she's basically the only person at this point that's outsmarting him. Like, of all people, and I don't think he's ready or prepared to deal with what's coming. And I was talking with Kylan off air this recent past week. I actually called him about some stuff that was on CNN about Eric Trump's wife, Lara. She was video taped, like audio, by Omarosa, and Lara Trump didn't even know it. And Lara Trump, she was giving all the business, and I was just soaking it up on CNN when I was watching on TV. This woman was offering her money to work on Trump's reelection campaign. She was offering her another job at the White House after her father-in-law let Omarosa go. She was offering her not only a place to live in Washington D.C., but also another place to live in New York, probably in Manhattan near Trump Tower. Okay, so Lara Trump, she could have stayed out of this mess. Her and her husband Eric, they're really not out there in the public like DJ and Ivanka are. But come on, this is how you get your first public, appearance tied to this. This is how you want to be, remembered as being your introduction to society. Shaking my head, it's not happening. As Colin said, felonies are being committed and have been and continue will be committed. What I think is that we're going to be hearing the better of the tapes that Omarosa has. She's just releasing the basic ones that I think now, but as time goes on, we might hear the better ones we're going to tell all the real juicy information that we all want to hear, to spice the situation all up. So we're all looking forward to hearing from Matt. But DJT, he, as Colin said, he's had situations with race. He comes from a family, mother's side from Scotland, his father's side from Germany, back when it was known as Bavaria. Trump's father, his grandfather, and his great grandfather that I researched, they all had situations with race, especially when it came to black folks. And the fruit don't fall too far from the tree with this situation. It just keep on coming. Everybody know how the Trumps are. So, hey, it's to be expected. Like, in a few months from now, it'll be starting his re-election campaign season. So that's going to be very interesting. I can't wait. Look, I'm looking forward to 2020's election season way more than I was with 2016. This is going to be by far the most entertaining election season ever. So Omarosa, come on, girl, like keep tapes coming, keep the recordings coming because I'm just enjoying it all. She's about to own him, and I'm not going to say on air with the other things concerning her and him that DJT had her that we know of, but people are just going to be shocked if the things that we think are happening are going to come to fruition and come out. So go ahead, Omarosa. I support you. I'm here for you. Like, go ahead, get your coins and do what you gotta do. Matt's not here.
All right, hold up. We got to give the baseball people what they want.
Shaking my head.
Okay. So Matt the diva isn't here. Apparently, he showed up last week. He must have known that I wasn't gonna be there, so he could come on in and get away with just showing up when he wants to. Yeah. So the Phillies are, right now they're in Williamsport, PA, playing in the Little League Classic. They are, I believe, a game and a half behind the Braves for the number one spot in the NL East. Like I said, the Phillies continue to surprise everybody because, at least not me, but I know a lot of people, including myself, that didn't think that they were actually going to do well this year, and to see them actually doing well is shocking to me. So, I really didn't expect much out of them, and now they're doing well. So I'm excited for all the people that like the Phillies. It's great for all the people. It's great for all the people that like the Phillies. So good job. Matt wanted to talk about this incident that happened with a Braves pitcher going after. No, not a Braves pitcher. Reverse it. A Marlins pitcher going after a Braves hitter, Ocasio, who was hitting like 6 straight home runs in 6 straight games. And the guy decided that the only way that instead of doing it the fair way, he would pitch at him, wound up hitting his arm, injuring his wrist, and taking something good out of baseball. Now, those of you that don't know, baseball is like my fourth favorite sport. I only watch it like right now when it's dry in the sports world. But Matt and I had this playful thing where I mess with him about baseball. We all do it. But rightfully so. It was a very, very Bush League move for this boy to try and take out somebody that's doing their job. Their job is to get hits and score runs. And that's exactly what he did. And then he got hit for it, and it's just so dumb, man. It really is. It's a dumb move, dumb baseball. This is why Major League Baseball is also called the No Fun League, even though there's no NFL in it. But, I can't with baseball sometimes. But let that boy be that boy. Let him be cocky. Let him do what he got to do because it's entertaining. Now, you got all these old school rules where they try and take people out for having fun in baseball. It's just horrible. Moving right along, the next question, I believe, is Serena Williams had a comment from one goat to another silent outside of football goat. Said that if Colin Kaepernick gets to play again, she thinks that God will bless him with a Super Bowl, his first Super Bowl. Your thoughts on that, Amina? Because that's your boy. That's the one you've been waving the Colin Kaepernick flag almost as long, if not longer, than me. So go ahead.
That's funny. He gonna say waving the Colin Kaepernick flag. Serena Williams recently said, I don't know when she exactly said it, but I know it's recent because it's still popping up in my Google news when I go on Google. She feels as though if hypothetically, which most likely it won't, but hypothetically if it were to happen, that if Colin Kaepernick ever got the blessing to return to an active suited and booted roster in the NFL, that he will be blessed with his very first Super Bowl ring. When I read the headlines, I was very pleased and smiling from ear to ear. So therefore, I took it upon myself to read a few articles that she on the subject. Colin Kaepernick is viewed, in my opinion, as one of the top 10 quarterbacks of the last 15 years, I would say. He's highly underrated. He has better stats than quite a few active quarterbacks that people highly overrate. Won't say any names, but they know who they are. He has the potential. He has playoff experience when he was on the San Francisco 49ers for those 5 years that he had before he started his movement 2 years ago. So his career, if he hypothetically can bounce back and get his collusion case money, prove that all the haters wrong, prove our dear president all wrong, and go all the way out, he will come back better than he originally went out. Like, he was already good. Like, he will come back great. Like, he will be revered as... He's already a martyr, but an extra. Like, I don't know what the word is to describe it, but he would come back greater than a martyr if his career could be resurrected. Because he'll only be 31 in November. 31, I think, still. Yeah. I think he'll be 31 in November. So he's still young. I mean, he's in the prime of his career. Like I've said time and time again on this podcast, several episodes, he has no injuries, no drama going on in his life that a whole lot of football players have. No criminal record that we know of. Um, Nothing taints his name. So he's a great, upstanding player. Like, anyone should be looking up to him, whether they're young or old. So he has the potential and firepower. Now, hypothetically, if he were to return to the NFL, he does not need to go back to the San Francisco 49ers. That's for sure. Teams that will fit him, I think maybe the Baltimore Ravens. I think that would be a great team for him. I don't know why, but something is telling me that the Ravens would be a great team for him. Um, he needs to be somewhere where it's progressive, where it's chill, laid back, not too much drama going on, not too many people in the area. And Baltimore, Maryland seems to be a great fit for him. It's right near DC, not too far from New York and Philadelphia. Um, Progressive area up and down the coastline, not backwards thinking that goes on down south or sometime in some western states. So I think the Ravens will be a great fit for him if he was to come back. Um, but yeah, I see him. I gotta agree with Serena and the insight that she had. Like, for her to think of that and to say it, it just shows that he has the talent. All he's missing is the ring to go along with it. But regardless of whether he wins a Super Bowl or not, to me, he's done something as of almost 3 years ago that's greater than any Super Bowl ring that anybody could ever get. It's better than a Vince Lombardi. It's better than a ring. It's better than a banner. It's better than the confetti, the parades. It's better than that. It's all better. He's done something that people are still talking about. People aren't talking about the Super Bowl from 2 years ago, but people are still talking about what he did 2 years ago, though. So his movement is bigger than itself, and as we said time and time again, he's going to be remembered as one of the greatest sports martyrs in history. Like, his name is going to be in history books. When my generation of grandparents, they're going to be talking about Colin Kaepernick in the schools. It's going to be that. It's going to be that serious. So, Colin Kaepernick, whatever happens with your career, regardless, you're still a champion in my world, in my universe. So, in my book, what you've done is better than any Super Bowl championship win. Kyler?
Yeah, like I think that and those of you that wonder what happened to Trey, we have a busy day today at our church. We have a night service geared towards 18 to 35-year-olds tonight. So that's what Trey had to go take care of and take care of his younger siblings and get them something to eat before the thing starts at 6. So that's what happened to Trey. Just so everybody's clear, like, you know. So uh so on to Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick is a guy who, as Amina and I have said on this show and on and off air, needs to start speaking up at this point. I mean, like, you can't continue to have LeBron James, Steph Curry, and Serena Williams and different Democratic politicians and some Republicans speaking up for you and saying, they have a right to take a knee, stuff that's obvious. Like, they have a right to take a knee, the message being lost, blah, 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 blah. I admire Colin Kaepernick, like I've said on the show before. I've always been waving that Colin Kaepernick flag since I discovered who he was. I think that Colin Kaepernick needs to speak now. I think it's time. I also think that, if he is blessed to come to play in the NFL again, first and foremost, the Eagles could use a good third or second string quarterback. I know you want to be a starting quarterback, but if you are blessed to start up and whatever team signs you does win the Super Bowl, I'd rather you be for my Eagles. Kind of biased, it's kind of a biased decision here, but I'd rather you come and play where you belong in Philadelphia. But if you can't be here, then I'll take Baltimore or where else could he go? He could go to now he can't go to the Raiders or the Cowboys. He could go to the Dolphins once they get their heads out of their behind. He could go to a lot of places and be a Super Bowl contender. But I definitely think that he deserves another chance. And once this collusion lawsuit and we get the results of that, I really do think that we will see the depths of what some NFL owners, and it wasn't all of them, did to keep him out of the league. And once I jokingly call it that once this thing is done, it'll be called the KNFL, Kaepernick's National Football League. And then once that happens and people see it, well, most people are already in their camps anyway. But once the truth gets out of what these owners did, I think that the NFL will finally become a progressive sport. I think that a lot of things will change once Colin Kaepernick most likely wins this collusion suit, And then I think he's also trying to sue 45. So if he gets to sue 45, that'll just be another feather in the cap for him and for a certain segment of America. It's just there's certain things you can't do. You can't collude to keep somebody out because you don't like their stance. This is not the 1990s when the NBA was able to do that to Muhammad Abdul Raif because of his stance. And many people don't know why the NBA has a policy. That is why this man decided to I don't know if it's necessarily take a knee, but do what Marshawn Lynch does and sit down or pray during the national anthem and the
He's a
NBA.
Muslim that was praying is because most Muslims don't agree with U.S. policies and the flag and whatnot. He was praying um, rather than doing the national anthem or just whatever you want to call it, the Star Spangled Banner. He replaced that when they did that the segment for games. He was praying instead on the sidelines with the scene.
Right, and most people wouldn't think that that was wrong, but in David Stern's NBA, that was a Cardinal sin, you know. So that was the David Stern NBA, and David Stern is famous for two things: a national anthem policy and a uniform policy. David Stern was not a fun commissioner. Even though that was the commissioner of Amina and I's childhood, but he wasn't a fun commissioner of the NBA. So he did all that, and you know, but I think Colin Kaepernick, if he's blessed to come back into the NFL, I don't know if he'll win the Super Bowl, but I definitely think he'll be motivated. He'll take his team to the playoffs. I can say that. But I do, hope that he gets more chances. If not, like I keep saying, start speaking out, brother. Start doing some graduation speeches. Start getting yourself a Good Morning America. Get yourself an interview on Sports Center. Get yourself somewhere friendly. Do not go on Fox News. Whatever you do not go on Fox News. Not because I don't want you going over there. Listening to other sides is good. But come on, dog. That would be suicide because they'll just crucify you. They'll shout over you. We all know what Fox News does to people they don't agree with. So I think that would be good for him. But I think Colin Kaepernick definitely deserves a chance. All right, so moving right along, we got two more questions, and then we can get on up out of here. Amina, let's talk about this University of Maryland situation. Ooh, I just went. Yeah, for those of you that don't know, I spent some time down there. So sometimes when I say Maryland, you'll hear that part of the accent that I picked up from them. University of Maryland. Let's talk about what's going on there with the kid that died and the fact of everything. And before Amina goes, I do have an update. This is from Chick Hernandez, a reporter, a sports reporter down in the University of Maryland. It has been apparent through the board of governors, a board of regents. Y'all know that every college, every university has a board of something. It's either a board of trustees or a board of regents or a board of governors, depending on the school. They haven't announced it yet, but via his sources, they've said that the athletic director, Damon Evans, the president, Dr. Wallace D. Lowe, and the coach, DJ Durkin. Now, like I said, they haven't announced this yet, but there are reporters in DC and the DMV reporting that very soon, in the coming weeks, that both the president, the athletic director, and the coach will be fired. So, um, Amina, with that knowledge, go ahead on your thoughts on this University of Maryland situation. Maryland, Marlin. Go ahead. Go ahead, Amina.
You don't want to get shot by them people watching they stayed up. um, Kyler was the one that actually brought the situation to my attention. I think it was last week for the first time, and then again, I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday. So twice. I've read maybe 2.5 articles about it. Whole situation that's turning into a big situation and an eventual huger situation is a situation going on with this school's football team as far as the coaching staff doing unethical and immoral actions towards the players on the football team, as far as abuse, neglect, belittling, and just all the negative adjectives to describe not treating others well. Some were forced to overeat and then they would throw up. Others were called too fat and were told negative things as a result of that. Others were made fun of if they couldn't keep up with the workouts in the dangerous summer humidity outside in midday, and they passed out due to heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and eventual heat death. One player, I believe, passed away as a result of the treatment received from being a part of this school's football team that I read in one of the articles. So it's all unfortunate. I mean, these days, mess is happening on all these colleges and university campuses. Not one of these campuses are free of mess going on, whether it's sexual assault stuff going on, hazing, mess on the football team, scandals with basketball players, mess going on with certain schools, lying about the entire degree programs they offer as far as statistics. Yo, these colleges and universities bold these days. They doing it all. They going above and beyond, and it's got to end. It's got to end. It's like, yo, but with this one specific school that's in Maryland, it's unfortunate um, how people just can't do their job out of love and respect, and how people take advantage of opportunities when opportunities present themselves, even though they're supposed to turn down those opportunities and to do right in life by others, treat others well. Um, it's just sad. Like, people come to these schools to be a part of these athletic teams. Hundreds want to be a part of these teams, but only few are chosen and called. So those that are the answer, they don't sign up for this treatment. They don't. But it happens, and that's not the culture that should exist. But it does at too many places and from too many people. It's just ridiculous. Like, if the reports that Kylan are saying from the guy are true, they bought it on themselves. As far as an eventual firing of all of them, after an investigation is done, internally and externally, for all parties involved. It needs to be gutted. Like, hire new people that actually love and respect the student athletes, want the best for them, treat them with respect. Because at the end of the day, these schools that are making money, most schools make big money from their basketball and football teams. So if you don't have players, you don't have revenue coming into your school. So how about that? If all your players decide to say, you know what, we're just going to focus on our degrees that we came here for, we're going to say to hell with these sports. You don't have players, which means you don't have a team, which means you don't have revenue, which means that you no longer are represented on a national or international level. It's a trickle down effect. Honor and respect your player athletes and keep it moving. Like, the berating of them is like, it's so unnecessary. It's uncalled for. It's completely not necessary. And it's a shame. No one goes to a college or university to play at sports and signs up for this. None. But it's happening too often lately. Like, you can't go a week, it seems, these days without some mess going on at a college university campus. And it's ridiculous. It's got to end across the board. Kylan can say what he wants because I know this is his question. I know he's ready to go.
Yeah, let's really talk about this. The kid's name that died, I believe his name was Jordan McNair. Matter of fact, let me look that up. I believe his name was something McNair. I believe it's Jordan McNair. But let me look that up and make sure that I am correct. Because the one thing I've learned so far in the semester school, yes, Jordan McNair. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. Okay. So, yes. So Jordan McNair, unfortunately, was the kid that died. And the thing that got me wasn't even when Amina talked about of how they've been starving kids and doing what they wanted to do for a little bit. Because the bull has been there at least I think 2 years, maybe 3 years. It might have been his second or third year at the University of Maryland. And just the fact that you've been doing this for 2 to 3 years, and this is the first kid that died, but you've been doing this for 2 to 3 years, says it all to me, right? I mean, let's just be real. Like, I'll give, my University of Maryland credit for accepting responsibility. But like Stephen A. Smith said, what else were they going to do? Like, a kid died. The university is getting sued civilly. I'm sure the McNair family is suing the coach and the strength and conditioning coach because you know what the most troubling thing to me about this wasn't even the fact that they were making kids eat if they deemed them overweight. Wasn't even the fact that they were cursing them out if they couldn't get it right. Wasn't even the fact that they were forced, like I said, force kids to eat until they throw up because they were deemed underweight. First off, how you gonna tell an 18-year-old, a 19-year-old kid that probably has a high metabolism, they've been playing football at least maybe since middle school, high school, that they're overweight? Would you want him to be the offensive lineman? What's wrong with you? You know what? My thing is, what troubled me is ESPN reports that the kid had a stroke, I believe, a heat stroke, I believe, and Amina can correct me if I'm wrong, around 4:30, right? Maybe it was 5:30, 4:30, 5:30, somewhere in there, right? No, it was 4:30. Around 6 o'clock is when they called the ambulance. So it was about 4:30, close to 5 o'clock. This kid had his heat stroke, right? Somebody explain to me why nobody checked on this kid. Matter of fact, it's been confirmed that after he was suffering from heat stroke, nobody went to get the kid water. A lot of his teammates knew he was having some type of thing. He couldn't run. He couldn't do anything. Nobody gave this kid water to cool himself down. None of the medical staff did their actual job. You know what they did? They grabbed his arms. And I wish I could put this on tape to show y'all what I'm doing right now, but I can't. You know, they grabbed this kid by his arms, two people. They let him finish his mile, right? The bull's still heat stroking out at this point, right? He's getting carried to the finish line. Still nobody calls the ambulance, right? They wait until 6 o'clock. And, you know, there's 90 minutes unaccounted for. 4:30, 5:30 is when they call the ambulance, I believe. I don't think the ambulance got there until about 6 o'clock. So by the time they resuscitated the bull was dead. Like, he was dead probably right after they were marching him around to finish the dang laps. How in the world does this man still have a job 2 weeks later? How does the president have a job? How does the AD have a job? Why did it take this long? Why did it take an ESPN report to get these people fired? I mean, I know this is no surprise to the University of Maryland, the board, and everybody in leadership at the University of Maryland. And if the report is to be believed, you have some anonymous players talking about how it was back to normal as if nobody died the day after the bull died. I don't understand how this man had a job. First off, let me say something. This is for all y'all universities. Y'all need to stop giving these coaches unlimited dictatorial power over these basketball and football players. This should serve as a lesson to you. You know, this is the reason why you don't give Nick Saban to them. And I know Nick Saban hasn't done this, but I'm just using him as an example. This is the reason why you don't give Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, Bobby Bowden. This is the reason why you don't give any of them unlimited power over a football team. You don't do it because you get stuff like this that happens. You wind up a national embarrassment on ESPN. Again, why did it take that? Why did the report have to be done? And I'm saying this as a future sports journalist that's going to probably make a living off these articles and reporting on this stuff. But why did it take that? You know, these schools have to start answering. I don't know how many more lawsuits it's going to take, but enough of these parents need to start giving these lawsuits because these colleges and universities are starting to act like the Vatican here, where they just start covering stuff up and there's no accountability until an article comes out about it, until a brave district attorney decides to sue these schools to say, what the heck is going on your campus? Why does it take that? You know, like I said, these colleges and universities are becoming like the Vatican, where the cover-up is worse than the crime. And it's horrible for me to say that because somebody died in this case. But you know what's going to come out? The cover-up's going to be worse than the crime. 4 people are going to lose their jobs, and they know better. The president, why'd you let this man just keep doing this for 3 years? The AD, how did you let this man keep doing this for 3 years? I mean, the top 2 leadership positions are just going to be the same question. Why did you let this man do this for 2 to 3 years? Why did somebody have to die before you said, "Oh wow, this is a little bit too serious for me"? The athletic trainer is going to have to answer for why it took you 90 minutes. Why were people on your staff? This kid was clearly stroking out, and I'm sure they got the footage from it because it was on the University of Maryland's campus. So there's no way there's no security footage of this man stroking out. There's no way I believe, and I'm not a University of Maryland student. I have no connection to the University of Maryland at all. So you can't tell me there's no security footage of this bull stroking out and of whoever these people are running him around while he's stroking out. If I am the parents, there is no way I'm settling. No way at all I'm settling. Take this to court. Let all the documents go out. Let the University of Maryland be embarrassed because that's what it takes. Too many people settle when it comes to things like this. Don't settle. To the McNair family, do not settle. Take it all the way to that court. Do not settle. I don't care how much. I don't care if it's $500,000. I don't care if it's $1 billion. Do not settle. Take this all the way. Sue the University of Maryland. I know you've already done it. Sue the coach. Sue the strength and conditioning coach. Take it all the way. Embarrass the heck out of them. Embarrass them. Because that's what it's going to take. These colleges, like Amina said, you can't tell me this isn't happening. Like this stuff where you got these old school coaches that have unquestioned power. The schools rely on them. So they have for money, for scholarships, for everybody, including grad students, undergrads, staff, and everything else. So they just think they got unquestioned power. There is no way that stuff like this is happening on other college campuses. But this should be a lesson that these parents keep on keeping on for these parents, yo. Make sure that you show up at every practice, every game, whatever, to make sure that your child is getting treated right. Because this is 4 years. This man was only a freshman. He was 19 years old. He had 3 more years of this. So just imagine all the people that's been going through. This man got in here 2 to 3 years ago. So the players that he actually recruited are juniors now. So just imagine what this boy been doing for 3 years. This is just what we know about because somebody died. You know? So this man does not deserve to be a college, doesn't deserve to touch anybody's kids for the rest of his life. He really should be in jail. I'm pretty sure that that's close to some type of murder. I'm not a legal expert. Like I said, maybe I'll get Courtney up in here to explain this, but I'm pretty sure that that amounts to something. You know, negligent homicide, something. Because for both of them, the coach and the strength and conditioning coach, they both deserve jail time. I'm sorry. This is just Colin Watson speaking. This is not the Crossover for Sports Podcast. This is not anybody related to that or any of its entities. This is me speaking. You deserve jail time. For real. DJ Durkin, Court, you deserve jail time. I'm going to be honest. You do. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You deserve jail time. You really do. Nobody deserves unquestioned authority over these colleges and these kids. 4 years, this kid would have had to dealt with this man. And had he not died, you know what? And this is the unfortunate and grim truth of this. Had he not had Jordan McNair not died and paid the ultimate price, this man would have continued to do what he was doing for another 2, 4, 5, 6, however many more years. And that's a shame. You colleges, universities need to take a lesson from this and do something. Get yourself some accountability over your football and basketball programs. I'm definitely not naive enough to know that there are older coaches in basketball that coach teams that probably do worse stuff than this, and they just haven't been caught yet. Moving right along, Amina, Carson Wentz was cleared for 11 on 11 drills. He continues to make. We'll end on a happier note. He continues to make progress to week 1. So what are your thoughts? Do you think he'll make it to week 1? Go ahead.
At this time, I think with more practice and for him to prove himself, he hasn't played since December when he got his little oopsie. So it was a little late. And we haven't seen him in a game since. So we don't know how he'll fare coming back. But the last video I did see him in for training camp with a workout with Foles, Carson Wentz was still limping around. He wasn't running straight. It was like he had more of a jog than a run. So I'm not too confident with him right now. Coming into a regular season scheduled game. Maybe in a month and a half, after seeing a video at that point of him running and catching the ball and throwing and all that, maybe I'll be able to give a better analysis, but I still don't think he's ready. And I wouldn't want him to rush himself because rushing himself will cause another injury to happen too. And we don't need, Eagles fans don't need that to happen to their quarterback at this point. He's still young. He's 25, so he can bounce back, and he is bouncing back, but not right now. Like if tomorrow was the start of the regular season, no, don't put him in the game. I wouldn't trust it at this time. But he's getting there. He's making more progress than he was before, but he has to be at 1,000% in order for his medical team and Coach Peterson to put him back into rotation. They have to be confident in him at this for that. And right now, he's just on the field doing practice games. He hasn't even played a preseason game. Nick Foles is out there doing that. So I'm looking forward to seeing him bounce back and doing what he loves to do. But at this time, I don't think that he's ready due to the videos I see of him still limping around. He needs more physical therapy to continue that, but he's getting there.
Let me just say that I am very happy with the progress that Carson Wentz has made. I don't think I'm sharing the stuff. I don't think they need to rush him. I am very satisfied with the progress he is making. Now I'm not delusional enough. I won't be one of these fans that'll be all like, he should play right now. No, I want him to be fully healthy when he plays. I don't want anybody. I don't want, like Amina said, I don't want to be writing an article. I said this on this podcast before about Carson Wentz had another devastating leg injury and how he can't play anymore, and the Eagles have to look for another quarterback. And like I said, him and Doug Peterson are joined at the hip, much like Andy Reid and Donovan McNabb were. And so for the Eagles to have sustained success is going to depend on Carson staying healthy and just letting Nick Foles have his moment to shine. Like I said off air, all the Eagles have to do is win 4 or 5 games, and then Carson Wentz will come back. They'll march to the playoffs again. Everything will start humming. They'll be the old Eagles again. And they'll probably march at least to the NFC Championship game. And, so the Eagles will definitely be careful with him. He definitely needs more work. When he's allowed to take contact again, then I'll really think that he's back. But, it's a good step. It's a good first step. And he has 19 days. So if he can get ready in 19 days, then more power to him. I hope he gets cleared. That's my thoughts. That was episode 97 of the Crossover Sports Podcast, inching ever closer to 100 episodes. I don't really know what's in the plans. Nobody's let me in on that. I guess I'll just be surprised. I want to thank Amina. I want to thank Trey. Like I said, both of them have really stepped up while I've been in grad school. Thank you all for viewing and listening. Even though I'm not on here, thank you for supporting. Definitely support Amina and Trey and everybody else on this podcast who are stepping up in my absence. They really do deserve to see some gains in the ratings, whether you listen just for me or not. Just support both of these people. They're both hardworking Black individuals who need support and encouragement. I want to thank them both for taking control in my absence, like I said, and really stepping up and making sure that this can be as great as it needs to be. So I want to thank Amina and Trey for rocking out today, even on a Sunday, because I came home and we had a cookout and everything, which delayed the podcast to today. But, thank you all. Thank you both. Thank you, everybody. Shouts out to Andre, Matt, and everybody else that's also been holding it down in my absence, and who will hopefully continue to hold it down as I get ready to start school again next week. But, all happy thoughts. Y'all have a great rest of the weekend. Enjoy what's left of your Sunday. And hopefully, and I hope you have a great work week this week. Deuces.
Have a great week.